Nothing? No? You can hear me now?
How about me?
Can you hear Butch?
Can you hear me?
Bush.
Okay. Push. Well, we ought to go ahead and put this on the movie deal, cut out the silent part, and that's what we're
Yeah.
talking about. Just drive me crazy. Last week, got 5 minutes of no sound. It's got to drive people crazy.
Yeah.
You don't hear us? Oh, we're getting ready to go again.
Are we live? Can you hear us?
Both of us?
They can only hear you through the phone right now.
Through the phone.
Oh, she's got to plug it in. That one can see if she hears.
Well, now. Hello? Testing.
Testing.
Aries.
Testing.
Aries.
Can you hear me, Carol Ann?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Trying to get our tech person here, get her all set up.
Yep, but can you hear now?
Both of us? All
As long
right.
as you can hear him, it's all that matters. I'll be the silent majority.
Silent majority. Not because he's large, but especially because he's very quiet. Right.
I got backup too.
Yeah, that's true. He got backup. All right, so we are talking about the reintroduction of K9Pro Sports, and I was just going to background a little bit of this so you understand the purpose of it, why it started. You can see that this is from the first trial we ever held. It wasn't called K9Pro Sports. It was Torneo Canina International, which means the International Canine Show.
Mm-hmm.
This is in Juarez, Mexico, and you can see it was in 1993, so we've been doing it for a day or two. This was the first show, I won't background it that much, but this was the first dog show designed strictly for protection dogs. All of your bite sports that are internationally accepted, have been around a while, have been created or were created in the beginning to test a breed. They started out as a breed certification.
Yep.
Schutzens for German Shepherds, French Ring for Malinois, and I think Mondial Ring also for Mals. And then after I started pro sports here about 10, 15 years later, every third trainer in America started a protection sport, and I don't know, I don't know what their purposes are. I don't know much about these other sports.
Well, a lot of that stuff is all clubs.
Yeah.
It's more club.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's
You
it.
got your Schitzen and your Mondial and your Ring, which is actually there's big tournaments and whatnot. But it's a lot in the country now. Seeing a lot more of localized club events that a club will host a Schitzen or a Mondial or a
Schutzen type.
Schitzen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's more.
true.
It's all club based.
I think, that's it. It's more of a get together of a club, and everyone gets to.
And then they'll put it out. I'm on quite a few sites, and they'll put it out there and invite people from all over the country. Mm-hmm. You can go if you want to go to Tennessee. You can go to Tennessee if you want to go to Montana. And they usually send them out a few months in advance.
Right.
So but they're all club sponsored by
Right.
They'll bring people in. It's just
Right, and there's tons and tons of them.
Mm-hmm.
The pro sports was started to be Abel my partner over there who financed everything, whose idea it was. Let me be clear on that. It wasn't my idea. It was a guy named Abel Cordova, who was quite wealthy Mexican businessman. He got a Schutzen 2 Roddy from Germany, and he wanted him retrained for the street. And so in the retraining, we did a lot of training in public parks, and we would gather crowds, and Abel got to watching, and
people would gather.
yeah,
People like to see that.
yeah. Well, and he said, "Hey, Butch, he said Bush, because they can't say ch. In fact, my name is on this trophy, spelled B-U-S-H, because all they know about Butch, they know George Bush, but they don't know. So I was Bush. Look, the people are watching, the people. And so I said, okay. And he said, make me sport. And like I said, he's a very wealthy person in Mexico, young guy. Y'all know where I've been going with this. And he's used to people jumping when he says, make me, you know. So we set up the first trial, and I got to tell a little bit about that because it was unique. There'd never been anything like it, and there'd never been anything since then like it. As I said, Abel had money, and he wanted a crowd, and he started with television advertising. He had radio advertising. He was advertising. He had spots on the Mexican channels. He had spots on the El Paso side, on the English channels. He also put up cash.
Isn't there a big billboard too when you drove into Mexico?
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite part, Scott.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
No. I'm glad. I didn't know whether I should say it or not, but I'm going to now. So when you're driving into Mexico from El Paso to Juarez, it's 5 lanes going in and, well, maybe more than that, maybe 8 lanes going in, and 8 lanes coming out back into the States. And once you get past the guard, the gates, there's a walkway that goes over all the equivalent of like 12, 14 lanes of traffic. And the walkway, you can park on this side, you walk across the 10 lanes of traffic, and there's this big international park, which is where we were training. 2 days before that trial, I'm driving into Juarez, Mexico to get things started for the trial in that morning. And I'm looking up, and Abel has bought a banner that stretched entirely across 10 lanes of traffic. It was 6 feet tall, and it said, Bienvenidos, as I say, contestants, but in Spanish, for the K9 tournament. There ain't no telling how many tens of thousands of people drove across and saw that. And of course, we had, in this trial, there was only 2 Mexican teams in it. Almost everybody came from the States. We had a young lady from California. If she ever happens to run across this podcast and gives me a call, I'd appreciate it. Her dog stayed in my house while we went to dinner one day and pulled down all the curtains. She had a mixed breed dog. She'd never done anything like it. She just had a hunch her dog would do it, and her dog did it. Took a 3rd place in the civilian division. Back to that part, Abel set it up. He said what would get people to come, and now I spent almost a year working on the exercises, scenarios, and the rule books. I visited with a guy named Jean-Paul Moreau, who was the top French ring decoy probably in the world at that time, who was over here. I was conferred with Leroy Aslan, who was the vice president of the USPCA in his division at that time. I worked with OK Knighton, who was running guard dog companies in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and some boys out of South Carolina. And so, in other words, what I was trying to do was come up with something that is totally protection street oriented, practical application that if you could complete it, you would know beyond a shadow of a doubt your dog was not equipment oriented. That was the big thing people talked about in those days. That was not just prey oriented, which seems to be the big thing they're talking about today, but a dog who was truly functional in streets for real life. So Abel, we put out the word through Dog Sports Magazine, which was Mike McCowan's, had been around for, that was the internet for working dog people at that time, right? It was a monthly newspaper type thing that went out. And we ended up with, I can't remember for sure, but probably a dozen people in our security, what we now call security division, which was the personal protection division. All that was on leash, attacks on handler and that sort of thing, civil agitation to where your dog has to alert on someone standing passively in front of him with no equipment on to identify. And then we had, I think, 8 in our patrol dog division, which was the pro police dog. We call it pro division. Abel put up first place in each division, got a $1,000 bill. Second place got $750. Third place got $500. Now, if you drove, as that one lady did from California, all the way to here, then we went over there on Thursday night. We started putting people up at the hotel. On Friday and Saturday morning, you go down to the hotel dining room, a bell bought your breakfast. On Friday for lunch, you were on your own. On Saturday, the day of the trial, there had just been a brand new restaurant open. It was the fanciest place in all of Juarez. It was fancy. They had live cockfights, because cockfighting's big in Mexico, right? They had a couple of old retired that managed to live through it, roosters, and they'd bring them out and do exhibitions. Abel took everybody that was competing in that trial. We went to that restaurant. He bought everybody's lunch. And then, of course, we had the trial that night. So word about all this got out. The trial was great. There were several thousand people in the stands. At one point, it was kind of exciting. I'll never forget the lady from California with the little dog who ate my curtains. She came up to me when it was all over with, before she knew she'd even placed. And she said, I want to thank, as we were doing, especially the civil agitation, because one of the things was to try and distract the dog so he wasn't looking, and then you run in and run past him and see if you can hit the handler with what we call a thump stick. And the Mexican crowd, of course, with bullfighting, they got into that, and you could hear, if I ran in every time, if I thumped someone, you would hear, ole, ole, thousands of people. And the girl from California came up to me after the trial and said, she wanted to say thank you. She said, I never knew what it felt like to be a rock star until tonight. And I just want to say thank you. So that I'll never forget that. It made me feel good. And that brings us to the last of the first trial. Abel had arranged, of course, for a party afterwards. And we had every kind of beer, every kind of mixed drink. We had pigs in a blanket. We had tacos. We had chorizo. We had, you name it. And we had a live band. And everybody ate and drank their fill and waited for us to make the announcement of the winners, I'm sorry, I'm thinking back to a lot of little things that happened that I probably shouldn't say on the air.
You don't.
But anyway, that was the first trial. That's how we got started. Well, I went back into El Paso, didn't think anything of it, and I get a phone call. Somebody, Mike McCowan, calls me and says, hey, I hear you paid money? I said, yeah. So I wrote up a little article about what went on, and then that was distributed around the working dog people in America, and next thing you know, I had people calling me. We did our next trial in El Paso in the Civic Center there, indoors, and we had quite a crowd, many hundreds of people watching, and then it just started going. Next thing I was getting phone calls from Paris, Texas. I think that was our first one out of El Paso, and then we went into Oklahoma. You name it, we were going all over, and finally, of course, we went international as it got bigger and bigger. The fact that it's designed for practical purposes is what a lot of people were interested in. The way we do it, we have a rule book. I can get anyone who wants the rule book, I can get it to you online. You just need to get in touch with me. Go on our webpage, you'll see my email address, or best to call me. Call or email, don't text. And I'll be glad to send you a copy of the rule book. One of the things that I felt was important was that we had a written rule book. And that everybody in that rule book, we include not only each scenario's description, but how they're judged. So everybody trains differently. This is a big, big country, lots of people with lots of different ideas. But what it takes for a dog to go into combat with a human 3 times his size is the same whether you're in California or New York City. For the dog to win, there's certain things that have to happen. So that's consistent across the board. And that's what we tried to put in our rule book. In the rule book, it'll tell you the basic for our protection part, and we have an obedience section. We'll go into that here in a minute. And then we have the attack scenarios. There's 3 attack scenarios in the security division, and in the patrol division we have 3 scenarios and a surprise, because on the street you can't orchestrate everything. All the scenarios, though, are actually set up so you can change a whole lot of things about them as long as they have the main judging criteria. On the score sheet for your protection, for instance, it'll have the sin, how many points you get. It'll have the actual bite, how many points you get. And that'll also be included in the fighting, then the release or the out, how many points you get. Everything is broken down. And you get to see what the judge saw in real time by the way he checks off and gives you your scores. When you finish that score sheet and you take it home, you can take a look at that and go, my dog was slow to out. His bite was shallow. He forges too much in the heels. He's lagging too much when I ask him to heel. His recalls are really slow by, trained professional standards. And all of it will be right there. So you can take that score sheet as a template to how to train. That's the foundation of it. That's how we try to start everything. We want a written format that everybody knows what's expected of them, how to go about it. We were doing trials, I guess, from '93 to 2008 or 9. I forget what year we started shutting her down, or maybe later than that. But anyway, we'll reopen all this. We're planning on a spring trial. We were going to do one, earlier in the year, right after COVID, but we tried to set it up too quick. Couldn't have anybody. We got a lot of stuff to get together. This is like our agitators. We don't call them decoys. They're not helpers. They're agitators or bad guys. We're not doing anything that you would see in most of the sport trials. Our decoys, our agitators are not going to be presenting a target area for the dog and things of this nature, because on the street that don't happen. So we're going to be trying to get in people who want to be agitators, and we're going to try to present and make everybody as professional as we can. We want to get enough agitators to do a trial. We also want to try and get judges. We've got a highly skilled 20-year street veteran canine officer who, Darren, if you're listening, I should have told you this before I said this, but we're going to ask Mr. Darrell Thornton to get with anyone who wants to learn about judging. We'll have clinics just before the trial, but between now and the trial, which we're going to set up for the spring, probably March or April, we're going to have clinics on a regular basis for agitators and for judges if you want to get into the judging. So that's why we're mentioning it this early. We want to go into the first trial like Abel did the first one in Mexico. We want to be all set up. We want to know everything's there. If you're wanting an idea of what we expect of the dog, it's real simple. There's 3 things. A good security dog should be able to intimidate, or police dog should be able to intimidate, dominate, and control movement. So, whereas most of your sports, the judge is going to judge you when the dog bites, and he's going to see where the bite is. With pro sports, the bite starts the judging, because what we're really looking for is that dog's ability to totally dominate and control that person in a manner that makes him makes him a non-threat while keeping the dog safe, so he doesn't get hit in the head with a brick or someone doesn't grab his collar and choke him to death. So there's all of that. Do we got anybody saying anything, Carol Ann?
No.
I'm running out of wind here. What do you think, Mr. Sinclair?
Then doesn't matter if we do a pro sports here or pro sports in New York City or pro sports in Seattle, Washington, it's all the same. Because
Right.
I didn't bring this up, but if you go to all these different club events,
Oh, that's true.
all the rules are different. But this is actually a rule book, written rule book that has guidelines to follow
Right.
for every competition.
Right.
These rules are, and these judging details and everything's, you change scenarios a bit.
Yeah,
You can change them up, but like you're saying.
Yeah,
But
but
the rule book is there and how they judge, nothing changes.
right,
So there's no real advantage,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, people that come here, but that's how we train. But overall, it's not. There's no real advantage.
No, no. In fact, that
But if you get the rule book and learn, and you'll see a lot of it is basically it's cookie cutter, cut and dry. It's nothing. It's nothing crazy.
no,
You know?
and it's simple. I mean, it's basic.
You know, you have people come out that never been here before, but you've had, and they adjust enough where they'll win or their dogs are good. They'll do real good here, and they'll say, oh, "Wait a minute." So it helps people to bring people together. Training dogs is a great thing.
Yes, it is.
Like everybody has ideas, and no one's perfect, no one's right all across the board. But if you get a bunch of people together, like-minded, have the same goal with different ways to get, there's more than one way to skin a cat. I always say that.
Yep, yep.
But you know, you get people together, like-minded people together, like in a think tank, it can evolve and grow into something even bigger and better.
Yeah,
And which you've already done this,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
So it's
Time or
there.
two.
So that's what I'm trying to get at. It's already been built up and it's proven. So and there's no home field advantage. That's what I'm getting at.
That's true. Oh, great point.
Because if
Yeah.
you go to.
Yep.
I've been to a few places where the judge is his cousin Jethro, and they do things what they train in how they train. They judge. They base the judging on how they do their training in their club.
Right, right. You know, one thing on that score that occurred to me a long time ago, after pro sports got really going in this country, there was a whole lot of people coming up with their ideas of how to do pro sports. And one of the big ones was NAPDA, I think it was. It was they said to be real professional, it's got to be all surprise scenarios. Because on the street, life's always a surprise. Yeah, and I thought, okay, and they went for strong for several years. They were mostly in California, but here that's kind of like these clubs that are putting on their trials right now, like Scott's talking about. I always wondered when they're doing these surprise scenarios, or they come up with their own scenario. You know, to know if it's going to work, someone's got to go through it. Someone's got to actually do it. And if my club's putting on my trial with my scenarios, aren't my club members practicing all the stuff before anybody ever sees it?
Yeah, but
How else would you do it?
But devil's advocate is this: there's only one. You said there's only one way. When you first started saying this, there's a certain way and I watched a lot of people how they work dogs, and the basic foundation is all there.
Right,
Now how they approach it after the fact with the handling a dog, that's where it's different.
right,
And there's different niches, but the base foundation is the same thing.
exactly, exactly.
So
And you got to take that and expound on it.
so there's really no surprise scenario. Because basically, no matter what the scenario is, the dog's going to come out. There's different techniques,
Sure, that's a
but
good way
as
to put
for the
it.
dog, to how the dog reacts and comes in,
It's basic.
it's just basic.
It's everything.
And then you get like your street and your handler and your on leash and everything else in command. That all works in together. But the main drive of that thing, the main leg of that river, is that
Yeah.
So
And you say river, I'll get it up here in 2 weeks. Come back, because I'm going to put up some videos of some of the things we did. One of the things we did that was unique, there's a lot of things in pro sport that I see in all the local clubs that they're doing right now, especially where you'll have someone with a stand up and do what they consider a civil agitation. That's popular. But we did a water jump that I have yet to see any club try to imitate. And it's literally, it's in the pro division, patrol dog division. The dog had to go through a window jump, over a high jump, And then behind some sort of a jump or facade, whatever you call it, a hiding place, we would have a swimming pool on the other side of the last jump. And the dog would land in the water. Now, some of the dogs would, depending on how it was, because remember, every club that did a trial set up their own stuff. But for instance, here for our finals, I actually dug a, what was it, 8 by 24 foot pond. You know, a low spot right out here, Scott? That's where our pond was. And we'd come in with a little bobcat, and we dug out that hole. It was 4 foot deep, right where the dog jumped, and then of course it leveled up so they could, if they swim a few feet, they could start getting their feet on the ground and walk out of it. And the agitator was on the other side, and we would line hay bales up on either side of the pond, and we also had hay bales leading up in front of the pond, so the dogs would jump on the hay bales to go get the bad guy, and then we'd see if they take to the water, or if they jump off and try to go around, or some of them would cut sideways over. You get to see a whole lot of different things about how the dogs feel about the water, and how easy it is to deter these dogs when they hit the water. And let me tell you, I found a video the other day of one of the man-eatingest little dogs we've ever been around, and how it was a little female Malinois, how she reacted when she saw the water in front of her, and how she went through it. There was some, as I said, we did things that are probably not seen at any trial, but they're probably happening more in real life than you'd ever realize. So we'll try and get that up as well.
Yep.
So,
but you have questions, or post something on the video sites or whatever else. But Bush can answer your questions. Like I said, it's all in black and white. And people that want it, you can come out and do it. There's no advantage. You have the rule book there and the scenario. Everything's there. You have everything you need. You know what's coming.
Yep.
You're not walking in blind to a trial.
Right.
So.
And we have, we had groups from all over at one time coming here, and we had set up pretty good. We gave away, of course, this is Texas, and so we got our own form of trophies, and we like to make it easy to brag. So we have, like in rodeo, you win trophy buckles, and we had silver buckles, K9Pro Sports and your name and all that engraved. At the end, we gave some of those away at some of the trials, but we, at our height, we had a year-long deal, just like they do in rodeo. We kept track of everybody's points. The top 20 were all invited to the finals, and then the winners of those, the top 2 got buckles as well as various other trophies. And we set it up. If you have a $50 entry fee, half the money goes back in the purse. People putting on the trial don't get to keep it all. It goes back in the pot, and then you split that up. We have a formula for that, and we pay as well as the trophies. We got somebody going, Caroline?
No, I just remembered that a month before we did our pro sports, every Tuesday night, if you wanted to come out, we would help you with your dog and walk you through what we were doing.
Oh, okay. That's a good point. Yeah.
We did that.
Yeah, we did. We did. When we were trying to get the first trial set up, that we jumped into too fast. So we'll probably designate a Tuesday night training thing for pro sports people as we get a little closer after the first of the year.
And once you see, even if you come once, if you see what Butch will go through, we'll sit there and go through with the judge, and the steward will come out and do the whole walkthrough with you, and you'll know what you have to do,
Right.
what you need to work on, and you'll have plenty of time. And heck, some people come out and didn't have to do nothing. The dog was already doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a little different, but it was the same thing.
And I don't have an advantage because I got one of the Western Shepherds.
You're not allowed
right?
to be. You're not allowed to be in.
I'm not allowed?
Nope.
Oh,
Mina can though.
okay.
We'll handicap it.
Handicap it. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's any breed. Like I said, that lady that felt like a rock star. She had a she had a mixed breed mutt that nobody thought anything of. He's about 70 pounds, and let me tell you, when she said sick him, that dog, and through the years that we did it, you know, we had we had mixed breeds, we had border collies, we had all kinds of dogs competing.
Don't sleep on your dog. Just because it's not a
German Shepherd or
pure
Malinois.
bred, or
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. I've seen. Doesn't matter what kind of dog it is. It's what you put into it,
What's the
what you get out of it.
healer, mini healer that we trained, Nova? She was driving in from Melissa. We got her trained.
Little Australian Shepherd mini, right?
Tiny, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's ways, you know, I've got a video I put up on Instagram. There's ways you can make an 8-pound dog into a man stopper. You know, you teach them suckers, Carol Ann's laughing. You teach them suckers to hit a guy in the crotch, and I guarantee you that boy going to his knees praying. You know, so, you know, it's open to any dog.
Yeah, we'll have more information coming out, and we'll be adding in some, you know, I think we're going to go ahead and start talking about the trials themselves and what you need to do, and maybe even have video for y'all out there that can't be here, video demonstrations, and walk you through it with some of the dogs out here. And,
Yeah.
you know,
We're setting up right now to have much better video for everybody so you can see exactly.
and then we can go through walk through the motions, and maybe a little mini series, but
Yeah.
then we can go intricate parts of it, and you can ask questions or send emails,
Yeah.
and we can actually so you seeing a picture's worth 1,000 words, so you
Yeah.
actually see what's happening, and you know.
Right, and everybody's nervous about entering their first competition. It never fails. Everybody wants to watch first. Well, folks, if you're watching, you ain't never doing. And if you ain't never doing, you might as well stay home. You know, so if you want to be the man in the arena, taking the blows, you got to come out and jump into it. You know,
Got to get in the arena.
Yep, got to get in the arena. And with that, I guess we'll call it a night.
Yep. So, Pro Sports, Streets and Sports, K9Pro Sports, getting there together. It's about you, but it's all about the dogs, right? That's why we're doing it. Hopefully, we can see you next week and get this K9Pro Sports rolling ahead and get y'all interested, and we'll go from there.
Oh,
and hang on.
I'm gonna mention something about. Is your dog really a bite dog? Is he really does he know how to fight? Does your dog know how to fight and how to know if he does or doesn't? I saw some interesting things recently, and I'll make them known next week.
So, be here, or be square. Bye.
Bye.